Jen, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jen Weeks. I am a newer rider. I started riding in the past 2 years, and I fell madly in love, and I'm completely addicted to bikes.
To bikes
Yeah,
in general.
in general.
Yeah.
And because I'm such a new rider, and I ride with a lot of people that have ridden for years and years and seemingly forever, I really enjoy other new riders because, like brand new riders, because I remember or I know what it's like to be brand new to a sport that is heavily saturated by people that have ridden for years.
Yeah.
So there's still some magic in riding, and it isn't about doing like the biggest, best ever. It's just like going, and it's so fun, and the community that I have found so far is pretty awesome.
No, that's great to hear, Jen. So what discipline do you think you would identify yourself with most? Is there like a certain type of riding or bike or terrain that you enjoy the most or do the most often?
I guess I started with mountain biking, um, and I really enjoy that. And during COVID, I would just go out and ride my mountain bike pretty much all the time until a friend of mine was like, "Come on a townie ride," and I was like, "Oh God, I'm not gonna be fast enough." So I drove to that first townie ride, and everyone else rode there, and it was very interesting. And I was super slow. And now that the pandemic has continued a little bit longer, I have done more road rides and more gravel rides. Um, so I think I just really love being on a bike. I've been very active in my life as far as like sports and like really like running and stuff like that, but there's nothing quite like being on a bike. So I guess my discipline is just being on a bike.
Yeah, totally. That's great. And so just to give some context for people listening, Jen, you started with Rockgeist a couple months ago,
In
right?
March.
In March. Okay.
Yep, and it's been
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't know how to sew very well before I started, and you guys have definitely helped me learn a new life skill, which is pretty sweet. Like,
It's good to
there's nothing
hear.
comparable to that.
Well, we hired you initially for shipping help,
Yeah,
and that was it, right? Like,
yeah,
like a couple hours a week, and then you asked me if you could start sewing, and I was so happy to hear that.
yeah.
So
I was like, give me something else
yeah,
too.
so that's great. Now you're full time with us,
hmm
and yeah, a great part of the team. So we wanted to chat about your weekend I guess last weekend, right?
yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
So it's this women's mountain bike festival called Rome Fest, and it is led, or the people that put it on are Andy and Ash Sultan. And they are women mountain bike riders, and they are just like full of stoke and excitement, and you can't help but be like, yes! Every time you're around them. They're pretty amazing humans. So a couple years ago, I went to Rome Fest, and that was like a 3 day adventure out in
Uh-huh.
Brevard at Rebranch. A girlfriend of mine was like, "You should go," and I was like, "Oh God, I don't know if I can do it." But I went, and I had such a good time that I bought a full suspension bike a month later, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and so then the COVID happened, and they canceled all the festivals, which is such a bummer. But they were having them in Brevard and Sedona.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so they didn't have any last year, and now they're doing this Rome Fest rally, where they're 1 day hangout bike riding days, various parts of the country.
So no overnight.
No overnight right
Yeah.
now. They're
Okay.
starting their festivals back up in October. It's going to be in Fruta,
Yeah.
Colorado, and then there's one in November in Sedona, and those are all overnights. And the one in Brevard that I went to a couple years ago was so fun. Um, and Rebranch is really amazing. They
It's a
have,
great spot
yeah,
for it.
it's
Yeah.
so good, and it isn't intimidating. I really went into it like terrified and imposter syndrome for sure. And I sat right next to this girl on one of the shuttles, and she was like, "Hey, I'm Claire." Shout out to Claire Tuttle, by the way. She leads the Motion Makers women's rides on Monday nights.
Yeah.
With Sarah Hunter, and those two girls, those two women are just fantastic also. So she was like, "You should come," and I just kind of got immersed into it. But it's like all day riding, and you can do beginner rides or more advanced rides or do whatever you want. There isn't a ton of sessioning because there's so many women that go. Like that weekend, I think there were like 300 women that went, and then this past weekend was like 30 women, and we broke up into beginner, advanced, and I rode in Knoxville, which I've never done before, so it kind of took me out of my element in my own backyard to a new place with new people, and just, you know, you kind of have to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and that's new and fun, especially like as I've gotten older, and I really appreciate those little moments where things are still brand new. You don't have to be like a little kid to have new things, to experience new things.
That's an interesting perspective, yeah. Okay, so let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
A lot happened there.
I know.
So the first festival you went to, your friend convinced you to go.
Yeah.
Right, and she told you about it.
Yes, and then
you were, you know, obviously hesitant, but decided to go and do it.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to capture here. Like I wanted people to hear this like first time participant kind of story of convincing people of why they might be interested in this and why they might find value and have a lot of fun at one of these weekends.
Right.
So you are that friend for these other people, hopefully.
Yes, I'm still that friend.
So, but after you went to that festival, you said like you really jumped right in with a full suspension mountain bike purchase, which is a big deal. That's a big commitment.
It was a big deal.
So obviously this weekend had a pretty positive impact.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the
which
women,
is crazy. That's so cool to hear.
Yeah, it's just so fun. I can't say any more good things about them and that event, and just making people feel included.
Yeah.
And not like, oh, what is this person doing here? Just like love, and for no reason. Like you don't like, just you felt loved, and like I don't even know these people.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
So there's a spectrum of people that are joining for the weekend, right? You have beginners all the way up to like advanced.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
People that are really shredding technical single track.
Right. And no one is making any other group feel bad. Like you're just there to be like, how was your bike ride? And like that's contagious.
And is it all single track, or is there gravel rides happening as well?
It's mainly just single track. Maybe we did a little, because we rode DuPont, and then some people rode in Pisgah. So it really just depended on like what route you were doing. And I hadn't really been DuPont, and I rode my first little black Sycamore, figure 8 in Pisgah. Because they were like, you can do it, and I was like, I don't know, but like other people, it's amazing how humans watch other humans, and they're like, you can do that.
Yeah.
You think you can't, but you can.
I'll tell you, even seeing someone in front of you, like following their wheel.
Oh yeah.
Even maybe just going down the same line they are, and yeah.
Exactly, and it just makes you excited. And when you do something like that, like I'm from the Midwest where it's completely flat, and riding in Chicago is literally like a grid, and it's flat, and it's no hills, and so getting down to Asheville and then riding bikes is like, it's like terrifying and the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that weekend I just met a bunch of women that live in the area, and people and women that don't. So it's just kind of like created this community that I didn't know existed.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's thinking about joining or going to a festival or a day ride, if they're on the fence about it?
Swallow your fears and just go. Just go. There's I can't just, you have to go. You have to get on your bike and go. If you really, really want to ride your bike and you just stare at it and you think about it, just get on your bike, because there's a whole world of women and really humans out there, but these women are like willing to accept you and ready and want to like give you high fives and hugs and help and tell you what you're doing great, and you walk away feeling like a totally different person.
how much of it is working on improving? Is that a big element of the festival?
I think every time you get on your bike, you improve. To be
Yeah,
honest, even
yeah,
even if you're a seasoned rider, I think every time you get on your bike, it's new. You've not done that ride yet.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
no matter what. So there is improvement, and like a lot of people, like there's definitely parts in DuPont that I hadn't ridden. Like rock gardens used to terrify me so much, and then we did session a little bit, and like just like move your hips that like men may not think about because they don't really have hips to move around on a bike, but women do. And like having women talk about their hips and talk about their bodies and make you feel like your body is just as great as everybody else's. Yes, there's definitely improvements to be had
So,
from those
so you
weekends.
have maybe someone who's like leading the group, right? And so if you hit a section that you might want to go back and do a few times, there's
Yeah,
someone to talk you through that and to help,
right.
or whether it's the person leading the group or maybe your neighbor that you're riding
Exactly.
with. Or, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe not like I feel like we did it a little bit with the bigger groups 2 years ago for the festival, but this past weekend because it was a smaller group of people. The riding groups were smaller,
Mm-hmm.
and there we were out at Baker Creek Preserve, which is a bike park in Knoxville, and the top part there was a rock garden that I was like I would normally would never even I would just walked it, and I would have swallowed it, and that would have been all I did, and like, yeah, I'm fine, it's fine, it's fine. But they sat there, and I was with three women, and they sat there, and we talked about it, and they were just like, yeah, blah blah blah, and I rode that rock garden, and I didn't fall off my bike, and I continued, and just the excitement at the end where they're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. I don't know, you can't. There's nothing like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I can't tell you how many times, like, if I'm alone out on whatever trail, I'm like, I'll definitely walk some sections and I'll like go back and I'll try to ride it. But like, it's different when you're just by yourself,
Right.
and there's no one there to give you that little push of encouragement.
Oh yeah, it's easy
Yeah.
to bow out and be like, oh, next time. And sometimes,
Yeah.
like, even if you are with people, you'll still say next time. But having people around and their energy and just they're like pumped up for you, you're like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it translates to like life and riding a bike. I mean, like I said, I ran for years and years and years, and um, I think riding a bike is very similar to living life and just getting over those, like, when you get over a rock garden, you're like, well, I can get over that, anything
Right.
else.
Yeah.
It definitely has helped with my confidence in myself and like what I perceive myself as,
Mm-hmm.
and just saying yes to more things, and opening up my world to something that I most likely would have said no to. And I think I attribute it to bikes.
There's always that element of like achievement that you can always kind of like call upon and like bring up when things are tougher in your normal life,
Yep,
which is
exactly.
awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. So give us like a rundown of like the let's say the day event, start to finish. Like what kind of activities are you doing and how does the day flow?
So, the rally, which is the 1 day Rome Fest, or Rome event, we've met at 9. And the rally is so that it's called the demo rally. So you can demo a bike at the festivals too, but which is what I did and why I ended up buying a stump jumper a month later. I
Okay.
just I was just, the bike fit me, and that was it. I was like, I don't want to try any other bikes. I know it fits me.
Yeah. Don't waste your time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't take my bike with me, and they put me on a brand new stump jumper because now mine is 2 years old and it's still fantastic. But it was brand new, so they will put you on a bike if you want to demo a bike. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds nice. This is something new. And so we met at 9. We rolled out about 10 we were at a taco place, and Baker Creek was only like, I don't know, 0.2 miles from there.
Wait, hold on, back up. So if you don't have a bike, would it be possible just to sign up and bank on demoing for the
Oh yeah,
day?
that's the whole point of the
Okay.
demo rally. So they meet up. So one of their sponsors is Specialized,
Yeah.
and so they meet up around the country with a Specialized rep or in person that does demos for Specialized, and they get all the bikes from them and they bring them to the Rome. And then you get there and you have to fill out something beforehand, like what kind of rider are you? What are you looking for in a bike? What do just various questions. What's your diet? Because they provide lunch in the ticket. And you get there, and Andy and Ash size you on your bike and make sure the suspension's set up for you. So you're not just like put out on this bike that's like, good luck. They set up everything for you. Are you clipless? Do you ride flats? Whatever your details
perfect.
are.
That's perfect. It's like, you talk about barriers to entry. $5,000 mountain bikes that's a huge barrier.
Right.
And so to have that ability just to kind of have one for the day and have it tuned to you, and you can really understand why it's worth that much. And
absolutely,
that's great. Okay.
So like from 9 to 10 they get everybody on their bikes, fit, and they're so excited that you're there. And you can't help but be like excited, like it's like I said, it's contagious. So from 9 to 10 you do that, and then from 10 to 1 we rode bikes. We rode into Baker Creek Preserve. We kind of divvied up into like people that are newer riders and people that felt a little bit more confident on their bike. And it can interchange. Like if someone more advanced was like, I really want to ride, one of the like beginner rides, that's fine too. That doesn't mean that like you aren't doing drops or aren't doing like things. It's a different riding. Like being in a saddle, something to get used to, and I think that is forgotten about sometimes. That beginner riders, like an hour on a saddle could be just painful, just getting used to it. So that's why they like break it up, if you're like, okay, I'm ready to be off this bike. So anyway, so we divvied up, and then we kind of divvied up from there. Like, does someone want to go do jumps? Do people want to do more rocky? And so we rode from 10 to 1 and just did whatever we wanted. And there's every city has like their own volunteer group for Rome, and they send out, it's usually through like IMBA, and they choose these women that volunteer, and they're like the leaders for the ride leaders. They know their own trails, and so they're there to like just
that makes sense.
You follow them. They don't just set you out on like a path and like hope you come back.
Try that one.
And it's no drop, and even if you happen to be a little bit slower of a rider, there's always someone with you, so you don't feel like, why did I come here? They don't care about me. Because they really do care. And so there's various volunteers that do the lead ride for the rides, and you kind of just follow the leader. And my personal, I'll finish. But so anyway, so you ride from 10 to 1, and then we met back at where we parked all of our cars, which was a taco place, and we had burritos and lunch, and they provided beer and non-alcoholic drinks. We just kind of chatted. I met a bunch of new people, and I got their phone numbers, and just like, like next time I go to Knoxville, I'm going to text Caroline and be like, hello, can we ride bikes?
Remember me?
Yeah. Hi. So we ate lunch and just chatted. And then after that, we had like shred talks, basically, is what they say. And so we kind of broke up into groups again. For someone that wanted to learn more about like basic bike mechanics and like, what do I bring in my bag? How do I need a pump? What is a multi-tool? Anything that you want to know, like from the set out that you would never think about. And it's also a good reminder for people that have been riding for a while to like, oh yeah, I probably should pack some bacon strips, which, plugs your tires. So just the things that you all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I know. And then there was the advanced, and to which we talked about like suspension and different tires, and it's just everyone has a different what they like for their bikes, what their setup is. So like we talked about tires that I probably would never have like thought about before, because I choose a certain brand and someone else chooses, and then they tell me like the pros of what theirs are, and just like talking to each other about bikes. And so that kind of is how the rest of the day went. We just like talked about what do you want to talk about, basically. It isn't just like, we're only going to talk about this and this and this, and it's a very fluid, organic conversation about your bike and why, like, what's going on with it.
That's great.
How does it work?
Yeah. So how much did it cost?
It was $50 for the day. And I think the festivals were, I want to say 200 for the 3-day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has like yoga, and it has, you know, those, and they'll have a lot of vendors at the festivals.
Yep.
And they'll have like a whole panel of women that in the industry, like Shredley and Rebecca Rausch. Like there's so many people that just talk to you about like, oh, I started this company, or I do this, or like I not, you know, like the people that are women in the industry, because biking is so heavily male dominated. But I think that there's definitely switch happening slowly but surely. So it's just cool to, you know, not have a bunch of, and there's nothing wrong with guys, but sometimes, you know, it's a different conversation when there's a whole panel of guys up there versus women.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it like just in Brevard and Asheville, like the women mountain biking scene. I mean, I haven't been to that many places, but I feel like it's very strong here, and it's like kind of unique to this area, and it's great to see that, you know, these festivals pop up in all these other cities.
Right.
$50. Honestly, that's a day rental for a mountain bike.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that sounds like a great deal for all that community that you're getting with the rental.
Oh, it's,
you know, or
totally
the demo,
worth
and
it.
yeah.
And even the festivals, I think that are definitely, the price is worth it, because at Reeb you camp overnight if you want to. You also can get an Airbnb in the area if you're not, you know, comfortable with camping. But camping, you camp, and then there's food, there's always lunch for the long day, and then there's like breakfast, and there's beer, and there's yoga, and cocktail hour, and a dance party, and it really is just like a big like party.
That sounds great, Jen.
Yeah.
So I hope someone listens to this and takes up the challenge of attending for the first time.
Yes.
I know it's like really intimidating to do something new like by yourself. Like if you have a friend that's going with you, that's a totally different story than if you're just like driving in from wherever.
Right.
You know, the first time, you don't know anybody at this place. It's a foreign trail system and different city. So it sounds like you don't got to sweat that.
No.
Just show up and smile. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this time for the rallies, and I don't know if they're going to continue it into next year, but Ash, one of the event planners, that owns Rome, she individually called everyone just to talk to you.
Whoa.
Like we talked before I went out there, just how I'm feeling, if I have any questions. Like that's very personal and very,
that's crazy. I've never heard
amazing.
Of that. Yeah.
She sat down and called
for
everyone.
30 people. Yeah.
Yeah, and just asked like, is there any other dietary restrictions? Just literally anything that you wanted to talk about with her. It's kind of cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I hope people hear this and get involved in some way. I don't know where this is going to live on our website. You know, we don't have a podcast, so
right.
I don't think we're going to be starting one. Although, you know, I think you would be a very good host.
Thank you.
I don't think I would be interested in hosting a podcast, but I'll hand it off to you if you want.
Okay.
I know Cane Creek has a podcast. They have a few episodes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so like there's other companies that are like just doing a few episodes. They're not like a regular every Wednesday kind of thing.
Right.
But so people do it, companies do it, but I don't know where that fits in with our time management.
Yeah.
It's like kind of tough to figure out. But yeah, so we'll get this up probably on the social page.
Okay.
The social club page. Which I guess is a new thing. So do you want to talk about that or explain that briefly?
So we have a Rockgeist social club, and it is kind of based on our community in Asheville. And we're starting rides on the first and third Wednesday of every month, and our first one is May 19th. And it's out of Weaver Park, which is right behind Luella's, on the Murdoch side, which is between Charlotte and Merriman. And it's just a place that you get to see the other side of Rockgeist. The humans that work behind the scenes that you may not even like think about, and then you get to see us and see us engage with our community. And we are going to post bike routes and just future bike stuff.
Events, happenings, get
Yeah.
together. Like now that COVID hopefully is, we're seeing the tail end of it hopefully, but yeah, we want a lot of pent up energy to talk to people, see people. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I believe that bikes might save the world. Truly. So come on those bike
If anything
rides.
does, it's got to be bikes.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned like the people behind the scenes, and like this is like great for me to see, and very like amazing for me to see, because the people behind the scenes is like a relatively new thing with the company. Because like so many years, like the first 3 or 4 years, Rockgeist was just like me, Greg, and Eric.
Mm-hmm.
We were just so busy doing all of like the product stuff.
Right.
And so now like there's, we have a team of 7, soon to be 8 hopefully. And now there's like people have time and energy to put back to Asheville, back to the community, back to bikepacking, and like doing these kind of like outreach stuff. And that's like one of the benefits of having a company and having a voice in the bikepacking space. So I'm excited to see just any little bit of effort go out. Even this conversation, that wouldn't have happened, 2 years ago.
Right.
And so this is like a step in the right direction, I feel, and I'm very excited about.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for all your help, Jen, and thanks for giving us a rundown on Rome and their weekend. Where can people go to find out more about Rome and to sign up and to see what they have on the internet?
The Instagram handle is This Is Rome. So check them out and follow them, and they post most of their information on there. There is a website that you can check out, but most of the info that or the new, up-to-date stuff that they want you to know about is on the web or on the Instagram. So like I said, Fruta's in October, and I'm hoping to make that event. And then there's Sedona in November, and it's you get free, you get swag. Oh, I didn't add that part. You get you get like a T-shirt and water bottle and like a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I always like getting that stuff. And at the festivals they do raffle. So everyone gets, can win something. Like they do I-9 wheels and forks. It's pretty sweet. So, you can check them out on Instagram.
Are there any bike packers there? Do you get the bike packing vibe?
So when this past weekend, Andy was like, "So what do you do for work?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm working at a bike frame bag company." And she was like, "What?" And like she knows what it is, of course, but like when I tell people where I'm working, people are like, "Well, tell me more about it." Like people are very interested and very curious. And I told her that it's not just gravel bikes anymore. A lot of mountain bikers are getting frame bags, which is what we specialize in, custom frame bags for their mountain bikes, so that they can carry stuff and go for longer durations and not just have it be like a 10-mile day. It can be like a 40-mile day if you really want it to be, or it can be an overnighter. Bikepacking. So I didn't talk to every person that was there, but from the people that I talked to, I did not get the vibe that they bikepack, but were very curious and very interested in what we were, or what we are as a company. So that was really cool. There were some women that had bags on their bikes. But I think it's just solely for mountain biking. But they were like, "Man, I can put so much stuff in there, and then I have all my gear." So yeah, just getting the word out there that you can put bags on your bikes.
I know, yeah. That scene and that trend for trail riding, for day riding, has always been a big part of our business. Even though we don't really market or advertise for that. But certainly, I think if I had to throw a number out there, I would say 30 to 40% of our customers are using their gear to day ride.
Right.
And they're just looking to get that Camelback in the garage and off their back.
Oh, exactly.
They don't want to be carrying their water bladders on their body.
Right.
They don't want to be wearing jerseys with pockets, like tight, spandex jerseys with rear pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. That's great to hear. It's on the radar.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And also to be like super clear, we don't have any affiliation with Rome.
Right. No, I
We're-
just happen to love them as humans and the event itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the people that got me there. Shout out to Marta.
So
She's the one that got me to go.
if people want to reach out to you, is that possible? Do you want to share any contact information on your end?
Yeah, for sure. I have my Instagram is the handle is Otter Lodge, OTTER Lodge, and it is a private account, but you can definitely request to follow me and we can chit chat.
Cool. Or you can email Rockgeist.
Yeah, you can find me at Rockgeist. You know, I'm out and about.
Bikepack at rockgeist.com, and we'll make sure Jen answers those emails.
Yeah. Any questions you have, I will
So,
answer them.
Well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have another conversation soon about some other bikepacking topic.
Yes, bikes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye.